Welcome back to the lab. Sunday night. Let's go back in time to last Sunday. We were at Hampton Downs. I was at Hampton Downs. We were at Hampton Downs. There were other people there with me. Not with me, there were other people there. Hey, so let's go back in time to last weekend and we'll take the march around the racetrack. Zoom, and then I'll debrief you on what went on. Welcome back to Hampton Downs Motorsport Park. We're here with the march, not the ute. You can see the ute. Well, that's here as well, obviously. We're here to test the march. We've done what everyone does. We had a car that was running perfectly well, doing things, everything pretty much bang on, exactly what it needed to do. So we changed some things because that's what you do with race cars. So now we want to get out there and see how it's going to react. Today is not a race day. It's only it's what's called full throttle, Hampton Downs full throttle. There's no timers or anything. There's no racing. There's no places. There's no chocolate fish. You just get out, drive your car, have some fun. So we're taking that opportunity to get out there, drive the car, and make sure it does what it's supposed to do. It's only 3 sessions, not a lot of time in between them. So if it doesn't do exactly what it's supposed to do, it's not really much of a chance to do big changes. Little subtle tweaks. Mostly it's going to be just put some fuel in it, make sure the oil catch can's not overflowing, have a drink and get back out and carry on. A lot of logging, a lot of testing to see, a lot of logging, looking at data afterwards to make sure everything's good. So, first session, clearly the track was a bit damp. It was actually drying out quite well. It's quite good sending the slower cars out first, and then the medium group, and then the fast cars. But depending on the weather conditions, by the time the fast cars get out there, it's sort of dry. But I don't know what lap times were. Not that great in the first session. Damp, taking it easy. Little bit of traffic. It wasn't too bad. I think there was only 3 or 4 cars in the group. So that was all right. Brought the car back into the pit garage, put some fuel in it, downloaded some logs out of the computer. Everything seemed pretty good. There was a little cough on gear change every now and then. Looking at the logs later, back here at home, I found that it was just tripping the map limit. There was just a tiny little boost spike on gear change it was just tripping the map limit by like 2 kPa. So I've bumped up the map limit a tiny little bit. It was quite close to where we were running anyway, just for safety reasons. Only running 19 psi, so whatever the 2 kPa is not much. It was like 0.0 something of a psi that it was tripping by, so no biggie at all. Everything else was perfect. After the first session, one fan wasn't working. There was no fault with anything other than I hadn't pushed a terminal into the plug correctly. It hadn't clicked into its little one-way click. And when I'd pushed the safety tab inside the Deutsch connector, right, I just pushed the pin back out and I hadn't noticed it. It must have happened at home here at some point in time. And so that fan didn't work because it didn't have continuity. So I just fixed that between sessions and it was good. Second session was awesome. Went out there, went very fast. Probably, well, there were PBs there, a PB and then another and another. But not going to tell you what the times are because other people will watch and they'll know they might need to go faster with their cars and they'll do things. And then it's too late. I've already given that game away, haven't I? I've said I've gone too fast, so now they know. I drained the oil catch can. We only had like half an hour between sessions. I drained the oil catch can while that was still a little bit hot. Kind of burnt my fingers on the bung, dropped the bung, spilled oil into the bottom of the engine bay, into the tray. So, whoops. A little bit hard to clean that up at the track and make sure you've got all of it. And I was pretty happy with what we'd achieved. Everything was running great. The car was going awesome. There was no issues at all. A tiny little cough on gear change, the map limit thing, but car was great. So I just decided best just to go awesome, put it on the trailer and take it home and play it safe. So the car stinks like degreaser now because I've cleaned all that out and I've done a couple other tweaks on it. Not because it really needed anything. It was fairly well balanced and behaving itself and going quite well, but why not make it go a little bit better again? Extend the lead we might have perhaps, or close up the gap that we might need to chase. There you go. Now I've made it ambiguous so people don't know. I've lifted up the back of the car by about 4 or 5 millimeters. It just gives it a little bit more rake overall, which basically increases your amount of downforce that you make from if the car's like this, it's just going to make downforce, right? So done that. It's a tiny change. We're talking about 1 degree or something like that. I've increased this piece here on the back is a gurney flap essentially, but originally it was like a 20, I think it was 20 mils, whatever that is. Yeah, that'll be 20, maybe even less. 20 mil gurney flap. That was running along this edge here. So I've actually extended the wing by 50 mils or whatever that is. That looks like a huge angle change. It actually isn't that extreme underneath. It's quite close to the shape of the bottom of the wing, so we're not going to have detachment issues. Maybe around our rivet tails, but they might create vortices and have it hang on a little bit better, right? And then we've added a gurney flap there, so that just gives it just a little bit more grip on the back end. The back end was tending to be the one that was going to let go, so I've done that. And then on the front end, she's a bit dark down here. Remember this piece got obliterated when we ran into the cones at Pukekohe, the cone bases that were on the track. So I made a new one of those, I made it a bit fancier and I polished it, so it looks super cool. It actually fits a bit nicer than the other one. That's got a really nice elliptical shape to it. Parabolic, is that the word? Just to help with that airflow under the front of the car there. And it's a bit better if I run off and I run into the sand trap or something. It'll deal with it better than this edge here that is just square and yucky and doesn't do much. And I made some dive planes. Who knows about the angles and stuff, you know. I mucked around earlier on with a few fans and a couple of bloody grates to stop the swirling motion of the air coming through the fans, and tried to figure out what the airflow is around the front here. I'm not going to CFD it. I'm going to muck around software and scanning and drawing things up, and that'll either work or it won't. We'll get some wool tufts and stick them on the front of the car, and we'll get someone to take some photos. We'll see how we go. There's one on each side, obviously. Now I can polish those, or I can use those as a mould to do some carbon fibre ones. I might do carbon fibre, got heaps of that. Yeah. That might be going. I might take that off for the final round. I might set it up so that this can come and go as we need. We could literally take it off in a few minutes, just undo the rivets, and I could put some gaffer tape over the holes that are left behind, and that would be good enough. But I might make a little carbon fibre panel to stick over when I take this off, put the panel on there and close the holes up. More betterer. That is about it. Car's looking good, didn't break it, didn't wreck it. I do need to have a think. I think this might be locked. It's locked. Bugger. I do need to have a think about lifting that right hand side turbocharger up. It is sitting just a bit too low. If the oil level's too high in the motor and it sits around at home here running cold with high oil pressure, thick oil, it tends to bypass the seals in the turbo and build up oil in the turbine housing. You get to the track and start up and smokes, and it looks bad. It clears almost straight away, but it clears after the car's been up to temperature for a couple of minutes or whatever, 2 or 3 minutes. Basically, by the time you've done a lap at the racetrack, the smoke is gone, and it won't do it again during the course of the day, but it just looks bad at the start of the day, right? Everyone thinks the engine's stuffed or whatever, because they don't know what's going on. So, looking good for the final round. I want to get another couple of tests in if I can, but we've only got 2 weekends, and the one after that's the final round of Superlap. It's a do or die thing, just because of the skip around season. So only 3 of your 4 rounds count. We didn't do the round down in Manfield, so all 3 of the rounds that I do are counting towards my points. And if we can win at Hampton Downs, which might be a bit of a stretch, but if we can do that, then we'll have 2 firsts and a second, and Leon will have 2 firsts and a second, and it'll go to a sudden death shootout, which will be interesting. Both cars will have to survive until the end of the weekend, and we'll have to just hope for the best, because in a situation like that, like one missed gear change or just one pinch up of the brakes or whatever, and she's all over, you've stuffed your whole the whole season basically comes down to that one lap. It's fun, but nerve-wracking, I guess, if you're stressed about it, but we'll see what happens. Right, thanks for watching. There'll be progress on this low-cost 7 thing later on. All right, cheers, bye.